Have you ever felt like something is watching you, even when you're completely alone? Not a camera, not a person, but a presence. A silent gaze that follows your every step. There are forces in this world that don't wear masks or carry weapons. They crawl, fly, slither, and purr. They look innocent, but they are the eyes of manipulation, the ears of hidden power. Today, I'll expose the 5 animals that witches have used for centuries to spy on the very core of who you are, your soul. And more importantly, I'll show you how to recognize their energy and rise above it. There is a war between darkness and light that doesn't always look like a battle. It often looks like a shadow flickering past your window, a cat that shows up in your dreams, or a bird that won't stop staring at you. These animals are not just part of folklore, they're spiritual instruments. When your soul is on the edge of greatness, darkness doesn't attack you head on. It watches you. And it uses the familiar to slip into your life unnoticed. This is why discernment is more powerful than defense. Because what you don't recognize, you'll invite. The owl is often praised as a symbol of wisdom, but in the wrong hands, it becomes a weapon of surveillance. It flies silently, watches from the highest places, and sees in darkness. Witches have used the owl not just for watching, but for feeding on the secrets of your inner world. When the owl shows up repeatedly, especially at night, it may be a call for you to guard your thoughts. Not all wisdom is divine. Some wisdom is demonic insight dressed in mystery. Your soul cannot afford to be open to everything that looks ancient or majestic. Then comes the black cat. Don't be fooled by its elegance. It doesn't just cross your path, it reads it. The cat has long been a vessel for monitoring spiritual atmospheres. It is not the cat itself, but the energy it carries that reveals spiritual infiltration. When your peace suddenly collapses or your home feels heavy without reason, be alert. The black cat has often been used by witches to assess emotional weaknesses and gateways. What you tolerate in the physical becomes access in the spiritual. Close the door by commanding your environment with authority. Third is the snake. Silent, calculated, close to the ground, it doesn't fly or pounce at weights. This animal has been used for centuries as a medium for witchcraft due to its symbolism of deception and duality. The snake represents spiritual seduction. It enters your life not just to watch, but to tempt. It studies your patterns and whispers thoughts that feel like your own. When you feel repeated urges to abandon or calling or question your worth, it may be more than psychology. It could be spiritual sabotage. Crush it with clarity. Your awareness is your antidote. Fourth is the crow or raven. Associated with death and omens, this bird doesn't just scavenge bodies, it scavenges souls. In spiritual warfare, it is used to spread fear, chaos, and confusion. Its voice is harsh, its appearance bold, and its intention disruptive. Witches use crows as spiritual messengers of disorder. If you find them gathering where they shouldn't, or repeatedly crossing your path in moments of decision, pay attention. This isn't superstition, it's spiritual signaling. Reclaim your mental airspace. Where the crow wants to scream, speak purpose instead. Last is the wolf, not the one that howls in the wild, but the one that comes in dreams or appears in visions. Witches use wolves to test your fear. Unlike the others, the wolf doesn't just spy, it hunts. It seeks out people who radiate light but doubt their power. The wolf is used to intimidate, not with violence, but with presence. If you feel chased in dreams or sense a silent aggression around you, that's the wolf's spirit. It wants you to forget who you are. But you are not prey, you are fire. When you know your identity, the hunter becomes helpless. These animals are not evil by creation, but they can be corrupted by intention. Just as fire can cook or destroy, the spiritual realm responds to the hand that wields it. That's why you must become aware of the signs around you. What enters your space is not always random. When your soul is rising, spiritual attacks become subtle. They won't knock on your door, they'll perch on your windowsill. They'll curl up in your lap. They'll slither into your routine. But when you walk in light, no shadow can touch you without permission. Protect your mind. Guard your atmosphere. Not every animal is a messenger of peace. Some are spies. When you begin to shine, witches don't always curse you, they watch you. And they do it through the ordinary. But you were not born to fear. You were born to discern. And the more you elevate, the more your spiritual clarity becomes your shield. Let no shadow, no whisper, no creature rob you of the greatness etched into your soul. Because when you're awakened, nothing in the dark can hide from your light. There is a silent force in this world that doesn't strike you with chaos, but studies you with calm. It doesn't make noise, it waits. Darkness isn't always dramatic. Sometimes it wears the face of a quiet presence or a repeated sign. It watches you more than it wages war against you. You might think you're safe because nothing's going wrong, but the enemy knows better than to fight you while you're alert. It observes your habits, your thoughts, your rhythms. It spies through what you overlook. Before it attacks your life studies your soul. The greatest danger isn't always an open enemy, it's the hidden observer. That's why you can't just protect your body, you must shield your essence. Every day your spirit is broadcasting its frequency, and not every receiver is your friend. You are being watched not for who you are now, but for who you're becoming. And when your light starts to rise, eyes you never knew existed start paying attention. Awareness isn't paranoia, it's power. To walk blindly is to walk exposed. But when you understand that observation is a strategy, you become the one who cannot be shaken by silent watchers. You walk through this world thinking it's only made of physical things, trees, animals, people, buildings. But beneath what you see is a deeper design, a hidden layer that carries meaning, messages, and manipulation. Animals in their natural form are part of creation's beauty. But under the wrong influence, they can become tools for the invisible. Witches don't always use spells and potions, they use the ordinary. They manipulate nature to access what you're not guarding. Animals can carry energy, intention, and spiritual alignment. Some are chosen not for how they look, but for what they represent in the unseen world. You must stop looking at life only with natural eyes. Begin to understand that everything carries a frequency, and some creatures are used to tap into yours. The world is spiritual before it is physical. What you pet in the natural can pierce you in the spirit. This isn't superstition, it's strategy. You were created to govern, not to be governed by forces you don't understand. You know this, the spiritual realm always seeks entry through what you're entry through what you're familiar with. Guard what feels harmless, because that's where infiltration hides. There's something unsettling about the owl. It doesn't blink like other birds. It doesn't fly with noise or motion. It simply appears. Throughout time, it's been associated with mystery and insight, but insight can be dark if it's misused. Witches often use the owl as a vessel of observation. Its silence is its strength. It doesn't need to attack, it only needs to see. And what it sees, it transfers. The owl is a spiritual surveillance device in many ancient systems. When you see it showing up repeatedly, especially during moments of vulnerability, don't brush it off as coincidence. You are being studied, not for your actions, but for your patterns. What you think is random is actually strategic. The owl watches where you wander mentally, where your emotions collapse, and where your hope flickers. It's used to uncover not your public face, but your private thoughts. That's why you must keep your mental atmosphere disciplined. A wandering mind is a vulnerable soul. Sharpen your thoughts, guard your peace. Because when the owl circles, it's looking for access, not scenery. Some cats don't just appear, they linger. They show up at thresholds, windows, and doorsteps not by accident, but by assignment. The black cat, especially, has long been linked to mystical energy. It's not the color that matters, but the spiritual role it plays. In many systems of witchcraft, the black cat is used to read emotional temperature. It senses fear, sorrow, and confusion and reports it. Its presence can feel magnetic, but that pull is often surveillance in disguise. When it stares, it's not admiring, it's observing. And not everyone who keeps such animals is aware of what they carry. Spirits attached to vessels and animals are open portals when left unguarded. The cat becomes a mirror to your spiritual climate. If you feel drained, anxious, or disrupted after its presence, take notice. This is more than folklore, it's frequency. You must take ownership of your home's spiritual boundaries. Speak life into your space. Declare what belongs and what doesn't. Your peace is not for rent. The moment you feel something shift, act. Do not wait for the atmosphere to control you, take control of it. The snake doesn't need to roar or chase. It waits. It blends into the environment and watches until the moment is perfect. It's not just dangerous, it's deliberate. Spiritually, snakes have long represented deception, seduction, and hidden knowledge. Witches use them not just as creatures, but as carriers of suggestion. The snake doesn't force, it whispers. Its voice sounds like your own thoughts, your own doubts. It makes you question your worth, your path, your truth. That's how it spies, by planting deception so deep that you lecture it like your own. You'll think you're just having a rough day, but you're under influence. Recognizing the presence of the snake means recognizing when thoughts don't belong to you. You must learn to distinguish between reflection and attack. Every idea is not yours just because it enters your mind. The snake's power is in confusion. Your strength lies in clarity. Declare truth when lies whisper. Speak purpose when confusion crawls near. You are not its prey, you are its predator when you awaken. Crows are not just noisy birds, they are messengers, and not all messages bring peace. The crow has long been linked with omens, chaos, and spiritual interference. Witches use them to disrupt peace, to provoke doubt, and to distract. When crows gather near your home circle above, or interrupt your quiet moments, you may be witnessing more than nature. They thrive in disorder and carry the energy of fear. They spy by stirring the spiritual air with heaviness. Their cries are not just sound, they're signals. If your thoughts suddenly become clouded, your clarity becomes fog, and your peace disappears, pay attention. The crow's presence might be connected. But here's the truth, they only linger where they're allowed. You can break their assignment with your voice. Speak life, declare order. Take authority over your environment. The crow may fly, but it cannot land where fire lies. And when your soul burns with purpose, no black feather can dim your sky. The wolf is not just a hunter, it's a spirit of intimidation. It doesn't strike by surprise. It shows itself to instill fear. In dreams and visions, it often symbolizes a force that wants you to shrink. Witches send it not to destroy you, but to make you doubt your strength. The wolf will chase you in the night, not to bite, but to see if you'll run. It watches your response to pressure. If you cower, it grows stronger. But if you stand firm, it disappears. The wolf only has power over those who forget their authority. It spies not just on your emotions, but on your self-image. Who you believe you are determines how long it stays. That's why your confidence is more than a trait, it's a weapon. In every fearful dream, declare your identity. In every spiritual intimidation, speak with authority. You are not meant to be chased, you are born to lead. The wolf cannot overcome the one who remembers they carry light. You may call it coincidence when the same animal keeps showing up in your path. But the spiritual realm doesn't waste movement. Repetition is a signal. If the same bird circles overhead, the same cat crosses your path, the same dream replays, it's not random. You are being flagged. Some forces are watching how you respond. They want to see if you will question the pattern or dismiss it. Ignorance is their invitation. Awareness is your protection. The more alert you are to these signs, the less vulnerable you become. You don't need to be afraid, you need to be awake. Every repeated symbol is asking you a question. Will you ignore the call or confront the energy behind it? You are not created to walk blindly. When something shows up more than once, don't panic pray. Ask for clarity. Speak with conviction. You have the right to know what's trying to know you. Let no pattern pass your discernment unnoticed, because what keeps appearing might be trying to access what you haven't yet secured. There is nothing casual about the spiritual realm. Everything around you is trying to influence you, some for good, some for harm. But the most dangerous are those that appear harmless. Spiritual surveillance is subtle. It hides in the familiar. That's why it often comes through what you'd never suspect: a pet, a dream, a wild animal, a repeated image. These are the eyes of manipulation, the ears of the unseen. If you allow everything to move freely in your space without discernment, you risk becoming an open field for warfare. Spiritual warfare isn't always loud. Sometimes it's a whisper in the form of a stare or a dream that feels too vivid. Understand this: surveillance doesn't need to speak, it only needs to record. And what is recorded can be used against you. Raise your awareness. You are not paranoid, you are protected when you pay attention. What seems small could be the signal of something significant. The more alert you are to the seemingly insignificant, the stronger your spiritual fortress becomes. Patterns are the language of the spirit. What you call coincidence may be communication. The spiritual world doesn't speak English, it speaks symbols, movements, and signs. When you learn to read these patterns, you gain power. Witches and spiritual manipulators rely on your blindness. If you don't recognize their presence, you won't resist it. But when you see the pattern, you disrupt their plan. if animals keep showing up in specific places, if your dreams carry the same themes, if your emotions change without reason, you're being signaled. Don't just move on. Pause. Ask. Observe. Your ability to recognize the rhythm of spiritual intrusion determines how deeply it can go. You don't need to be a mystic to see, you just need to pay attention. Because the soul is not confused, it's often just ignored. The moment you take notice, the spiritual realm takes notice of you. And what once watched you now fears being seen. You're not powerless, you're simply awakening. Your environment is not just a place, it is a battlefield. And the war isn't always physical, it's fought in your atmosphere. The mind is the control center of your entire being, but your atmosphere is the battleground where influences rise and fall. The moment your peace is shaken without reason, something is trying to invade. Your atmosphere reacts to what's trying to enter your spirit. Some animals don't come to you because of coincidence, they come because they were sent. They're drawn to energy shifts, emotional leaks, and spiritual fractures. The greatest battles are won by those who don't just protect their actions, but their surroundings. Speak into your space. Fill it with light, with strength, with conviction. Don't allow anything unspoken to hover in silence. When your home feels heavy, it's not your imagination, it's a signal. Clean the air with your authority. Darkness cannot breathe where declaration lives. You don't need a weapon, you need your words. Speak until the spiritual climate obeys your voice. You are not just living in a space, you are governing it. And when you govern your atmosphere, you guard your destiny. Some believe they are safe because they know how to fight. But real power lies not in how hard you fight, but in how well you discern. Defense is reaction. Discernment is prevention. Witches and spiritual manipulators don't just attack, they test your ability to recognize them. If you lack discernment, you'll embrace the very thing meant to destroy you. The snake won't hiss, it will charm. The cat won't bite, it will purr. The owl won't scream, it will stare. And all of these are tests. The question is not, can you fight? The question is, can you detect? Because what you detect, you can disarm. Discernment allows you to see the spirit behind the smile, the mission behind the movement. It's your internal radar for truth. Don't wait for pain to validate what your intuition already warned you about. When you discern early, you suffer less. Protect your peace by listening to the silent signals. Wisdom isn't in reacting, it's in recognizing. And when you begin to see clearly, no weapon can surprise you, because what you see coming can never defeat you. A lion doesn't fear a weapon, it fears deception. What's dangerous is not the tool, but the intention behind it. That's why animals in themselves are not evil, it's the purpose they're used for that determines their role in your life. Every creature is part of a divine design. But when corrupted by dark influence, even beauty can become a channel of destruction. Understand this, evil doesn't create, it manipulates, it uses what already exists to serve a darker purpose. The same cat that comforts you can also carry unseen energies. The same bird that sings in the morning can become a spy at night. You must stop judging things by appearance alone. Every object, every presence, every creature has a frequency. If you never question it, you'll never protect yourself from it. Authority is not in rejecting creation, it's in commanding intention. When you walk in light, nothing used against you can prosper. Not because it disappears, but because it bows to your voice. Purpose everything in your life toward light, and even what was used to harm you will start serving your growth. You were not created to blend, and you were created to shine. And that shine attracts attention. But not all attention is admiration. The brighter your soul, the more it disrupts dark systems. Light exposes what darkness wants to keep hidden. And for that reason, when you begin to evolve, you become a target. Not to destroy, but to distract, delay, and observe. Witches, spiritual manipulators, and dark forces don't just attack, they watch. They study your progress, your emotional dips, your patterns of fatigue. Because if they can't defeat your power, they'll try to decode your weaknesses. That's why you must guard your momentum. Don't confuse peace with safety. The absence of chaos doesn't mean the absence of warfare. Sometimes it just means the enemy is watching, waiting. But you are not meant to be afraid of their gaze. You are meant to rise so high that no dark eye can reach your altitude. Keep climbing. The higher you go, the smaller their influence becomes. And in the presence of true light, darkness loses its audience. Fear is not your inheritance, dominion is. You were not created to be chased by shadows or monitored by spiritual intruders. You were formed to rule, to command, to occupy your space with confidence. The moment you forget that, you become vulnerable to forces that never deserved access. Fear is a lie that convinces you to surrender territory that belongs to you. Witches thrive on your doubt, not your weakness. Because weakness can be healed, but doubt will make you stop healing altogether. That's why they send symbols, patterns, and animals to unsettle your faith. But you are more than emotion. You are purpose wrapped in power. The enemy fears you knowing who you really are. Because the moment you remember, they lose control. You don't need to fear owls, cats, snakes, crows, or wolves. You need to command your space with truth. Where there is truth, no lie can breathe. Where there is purpose, no watcher can manipulate. Walk boldly. Speak loudly. Live fully. Because no shadow can spy on a soul that is on fire.